Hello, comrades. First off, I apologize to all of you for not being active with the YouTube channel lately. I've been traveling and I've also been moving to another house as well, so I've been really busy, so I apologize for my lack of activity. I didn't want to make this video, and I really shouldn't be making this video. On June 27th, Cedar Fair announced that they had sold California's Great America and the park would be closing down forever within the next 11 years. The park's land was sold for $310 million to Prologis, a Bay Area real estate firm, with a lease agreement to allow the park to operate for up to 11 years. But the park could close down within 6 or even 5 years, maybe even less than that. Cedar Fair said, quote, "It intends to use proceeds from the land sale transaction to accelerate progress on its strategic priorities of reducing debt to achieve its $2 billion target." The park wasn't able to open in 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Because the company has been in debt as a result of the pandemic, Cedar Fair saw selling the land was a way to pay back the debt. But this sale was obviously a rushed sale, as the city officials of Santa Clara, including the mayor, were not informed of the sale until it was sold. Prologis most likely gave them a good offer for the land, and because CEO Richard Zimmerman is so desperate to pay back the money the company owes, he most likely said, "Okay, we'll take your offer, but give us some time to operate the park for a little while longer and then close down following a slowdown of operations." Hence the lease for 6 to 11 years. So this decision was made with no consideration for what's best for the park, the local community, or the park's thousands of employees. It was only for money, and very surprising because the land has been owned by Cedar Fair only since 2019. Prior to that, it was leased from the city. California's Great America has been open since May 20th, 1976. It was originally known as Marriott's Great America. It opened the same day as Marriott's Great America in Gurnee, Illinois, which is today Six Flags Great America. The park was later known simply as Great America and eventually was known as Paramount's Great America. This is what the park was known as for most of my childhood. In 2006, Cedar Fair took over operations of the park. From 2012 up until the pandemic, the park was doing extremely well. The park received incredible additions, including the Gold Striker, which is turning 10 years old next year, and to this day is my favorite wooden coaster. They were planning to expand the park and to build a new 200-foot tall coaster. The park was doing great, and every time I visited in the last decade, there was always tons of people there. It's a very profitable business, and it's one of the top 5 most profitable businesses in the city of Santa Clara. So losing the park will be a gigantic blow to the city, both emotionally and financially. Revenues will be lost for other businesses, and so many people's jobs will eventually be lost. California's Great America is my childhood park, and even though I live many miles from it, I still consider it my home park. I first went to the park in 1999, a couple months before my 5th birthday. Later that year, it was here that I rode my first big roller coaster, the Grizzly. It was that coaster and this park that sparked my obsession with roller coasters and amusement parks. I spent my childhood going to the park regularly until I moved away in 2005, but I've returned for various other visits, most recently in 2014 for CoasterCon. The park is home to several classic coasters that are now in danger of being lost forever. These coasters include the Demon, which was built by Aerodynamics and opened with the park on May 20th, 1976 as the turn of the century. It was renamed the Demon in 1980 and its 2 vertical loops were added. The park is also home to the Flight Deck, which is an inverted coaster built by Bolliger and Mabillard and opened on March 19, 1993 as Top Gun. This coaster my father actually helped build. He drove a cement mixer and poured in the concrete for the ride's footers. He did the same thing for Stealth, the world's first flying coaster, which is now the Nighthawk at Carowinds. The park is also home to the Grizzly, which I mentioned earlier was my first big coaster. It was built by Kings Island Construction in 1986 and is the only ground-up wood coaster built that year. Then there's the Patriot Floorless coaster, which was also built by Bolliger and Mabillard and was originally a stand-up coaster when it opened on March 9, 1991 as the Vortex. And finally, there's Woodstocks Express, which is an Intamin family coaster and was originally built at the former Hanna-Barbera land in 1984 as Scooby-Doo.
So the park has 5 coasters that are important to us and to me personally. We, the HCF, support the preservation of wooden coasters that are at least 10 years old and steel coasters that are at least 25 years old. Now, when a park closes, it's sad. But in this case, when it's a place that you grew up with, it's much harder. The loss of California's Great America would be a tragedy and most likely with no benefit. I feel it would end up being one of the great tragedies of the Bay Area and also one of the personal tragedies of my life. Because this park is a part of me and I'm a part of it. Even if the park is miraculously saved, at some point I'm going to be crying my eyes out. Because this is just so shocking. I don't think anybody in the enthusiast community or the Bay Area saw this coming. Especially for how well the park was doing before the pandemic. If you were to ask me which Cedar Fair park could possibly close in the future, I never would have picked California's Great America. I would have said Michigan's Adventure and maybe even Worlds of Fun. Now, is there a possibility that the park could be saved? Since it would likely be several years at least until the park closes, I suppose there is an outside chance. But it would be difficult, I feel, since Prologis is a huge company and they likely have ideas for the property just to fill their pockets up even more. I feel there are only 2 ways to save the park at this time. One is for another amusement park chain to come in and give Prologis a good offer for the land. Companies like Palace Entertainment, Parks Renundos, and even SeaWorld Entertainment, and several others out there. I'm extremely doubtful that Six Flags would even attempt to get it, as they have Six Flags Discovery Kingdom just a few hours away. But it would have to be a company that doesn't have a presence in Northern California. The other way to save the park, I feel, is for the city to get involved. Like I said, the mayor and city officials were not even notified of the sale until it was already sold, which to me is quite suspicious. At this moment, the land can't be turned into anything else because the land is zoned only for use as an amusement and water park. If Prologis goes to City Council to apply for the property to be rezoned for other uses like warehouses or residential, the City Council could just deny the application saying, "Sorry, this land must be used for an amusement park or entertainment purposes only." The current mayor of Santa Clara isn't pleased with what's happening and has said her hope and goal is to keep California's Great America there as long as possible. Those are a couple of ideas that I have for how the park could be saved or at least given more time. But we will have to wait and see. So obviously, I suggest you get out to California's Great America as soon as possible just in case. I plan to return to the park no later than June of 2024 for ACE's CoasterCon.
This is a real heartbreaking story for me personally because of how I grew up with Great America, and hopefully there is a silver lining for the park because this is one of the most profitable assets to the city of Santa Clara, and there's going to be many consequences if the park does indeed close down forever. But I will definitely keep you updated as this story goes on. So that is going to be it for today, comrades. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit our subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you're updated whenever we upload a video. And join the HCF by clicking the link in the description below. Thank you very much, comrades, and hope for the best for California's Great America.